Thank you very much for inviting me to take part in this exhibition and the discussions. My name is Aliaksandra. I'm a co-founder of a collective PHI, which is a design and research collective, and we focus our work on accelerating transition towards renewable energy. In this case, for the Living with Water exhibition, we extend our concerns towards water management as well. And we create this kind of a simulation or game environment to talk about different, to see the problematic of barrier and the problematic of floods from different angle. So how can we, instead of dealing with floods, how we can probably even take advantage of them. So now we'll briefly go through this simulation environment and we'll do a kind of a demo and explain how it works and what we would like to say with this work. So this game is online. It consists of two main elements. That is chat room, where you can have a chat board that you can interact with it, and it also give you kind of a tips how to interact with the environment. And first of all, we press get started, and it greets you, and it says you to load the location, which is Bari in our case. So we have a map here. It's briefly explain where we are, and it says that we were given 10,000 Phi coin, which is a kind of a fictional cryptocurrency in this case. If we can also zoom out and zoom in the map, and we see these dots which represent, blue dots represent simple housing, which is typical housing that already exists in the area. Then we have triangles, which are the resilient housing, which kind of also sort of futuristic but possible scenario where we can build a resilient and flexible infrastructure. And then also we have we call it water purification stations. So the idea of the game that you can design your own network, build your own housing, being simple, resilient, and see how the network, how the area perform in terms of health and coverage. So the idea is to get the 100% health and 100% coverage. That means you simulated kind of an ideal scenario for this area. So for example, we can press build housing, and you can select different dots, and then you can upgrade the same housing to the resilient one if you wish. And you can see the budget goes down because each node costs a certain amount of money. And also you can then build some water purification stations. And you have several cycles here, which is 1 week in our case. And after each cycle, the bot says to you that certain amount of water was purified, certain amount of water was consumed, and if there are any surplus water in the area that these nodes, like for example, water purification station, they purify water, but the residents, they do not consume it, so this water can be traded to nearby areas. So in this way, we kind of create an incentive for the people to be sustainable in a way. And if we go through different cycles, we can see there are some floods happening on the map, which means, and if you go to the very end, to the last stage of the level of the floods, we can eventually have more surplus water, and that means we can trade more water. So this kind of a way to see how we can take advantage of disadvantaged situations. So I will invite you to try the simulation in upstairs. You can play around and create your own, let's say, network, your own, design your own kind of a future for the barrier as well. And as a conclusion, I would say, so that this kind of a game, it's a way to create this awareness that we were talking about before. And it's also a proof of concept of what we are doing, what we are talking about, how we understand sustainability, and what is the ultimate meaning of sustainability, and what the decentralization also means. Because in this particular case, we're not talking about the central authorities that decide how it should be, but rather people who can interact between each other and find a better solution for the place where they actually live in and for their communities. So we want to bring into discussion this idea of sustainability and decentralization and how they can work together in order to find alternative solutions to some problems that probably wasn't adequately addressed by central authorities. So also this environment is sort of an exercise for us before really developing a digital infrastructure for managing decentralized system. It can be water management, or if in our initial case it was renewable energy. So this is our main goal, to create sort of a interface, sort of a software that will help people to manage these complex systems and to understand these complex systems, because we think that it's really important to put the citizens in the center of decision making at the moment where we are. Because as we're talking about climate change, it's not only an ecological problem, but it's also a really political issue. So, and we can clearly see from what is happening now that governments and official treaties, they cannot address it adequately. So probably we should think about different means, and probably this shift of power distribution from centralized to be decentralized could help us to address this ecological issue more effectively.